Bueno, pues ya está.
Ya estamos, ¿no? Esperemos 3 minutos más.
Sí, estamos empezando, hay 31. Yo como además soy el primer speaker, pues oye, si me quedo sin pregunta o con una
Pero
pregunta.
a las 30 empezó a dar los informes y eso.
Sí, y hay 31 empezó la charla, exactamente, ¿vale?
Ok. Nicolás todavía no está, ¿no? Que es el segundo. Le voy a escribir.
Sí, es raro.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos.
Hola.
Pablo está, Alejandro está, Cristina está, Carlos Luna. Nicolás Vidal ahora sí.
Se acaba de
Carlos
conectar.
Luna todavía no está, ¿no? Javier Moya está. Javier está, sí. Hola, Javier. Pilar todavía.
Yo.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Pilar Marín todavía no está. Julian está. Juan Scrick todavía no está y Victoria tampoco todavía está, ¿no? Pero se va. Me dice
No,
que...
no va Juan Scrick, yo va Alejandro Pereira, del grupo. Lo he cambiado a la
vale, vale.
página.
Alejandro Pereira, vale, vale.
De la Universidad Adolfo Ibáñez.
Alejandro
Pereira.
Pereira. Pero no está todavía, ¿está? No.
No está todavía.
Vale.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos.
Hola.
Bueno, o buenos días.
Pues empiezo entonces, ¿vale? Well, welcome everyone to the third and last day of the workshop. Thank you all for the assistance. I hope you enjoy the first 2 days, and today we will continue with the presentation of the groups. I just have one inform that is today it will be a little bit longer because one of the speakers that had problems with internet in the first day will speak at the after the last one in this day. So today we will have 12 instead of 11 talks. So we will stay here a little bit longer than planned. So the first talk today is going to be given by José Miguel Garcia from Madrid. So José Miguel, please, you have the speak.
Okay, thank you very much. So I work at the Institute of Micro and Nanotechnology that belongs to the Spanish Research Council, CSIC, and my group is a group of metallic nanostructures. So we work in 3 different topics. One is magnetism, and we also work in plasmonics. For instance, here you can see two samples made of gold, but one of them exhibits black color because it has a nanostructure that absorbs light in the visible region. We also use plasmonic for surface enhanced Raman scattering or to enhance the performance of solar cells. And we also work in applications in health, for instance, developing antibacterial coatings made of nanocolumnar arrays or bioelectrodes for electrical stimulation. But today, I will talk about magnetism. Sorry, I think I made a zoom. Okay, so we work in multi-layers for storage devices and energy within the framework of a NATO-founded project. We work in magnetic antidote. That was an activity that we started a few years ago with the IEEE project that is now finished, but we continue to work in this subject. In fact, with the people framed in red, as you can see here, that belong to this initial project. And nowadays we also work in artificial nanostructure, and we have recently sent a proposal for the cooperation program of CSIC with the CBPF in Brazil. So these are our main collaborators. So we need magnetometry, and we do it at the Material Science Institute of Madrid or at the Complutense University. Sometimes we need micromagnetic simulation, so we do it with one Scripps group at the University of Santiago de Chile. For first order reversal curves, we have our collaborators in Campinas, or for e-beam lithography, João Paulo Sinequera, the CBPF. And if we need an industrial sputtering, we can use the one from the Democritos Institute in Greece. We have a homemade ultra-high vacuum sputtering with 6 magnetron sources. And what is very important for us is that the substrate can be tilted and can rotate also. So it's very suitable for glancing angle deposition. And this is what allows us to fabricate with the sputtering nanocolumns. We also have a focus ion beam that can pattern large areas up to 100 square centimeters with the resolution down to 15 nanometers. Those are, let's say, the main features regarding fabrication. And regarding characterization, we have extreme high resolution SEM microscope that can have a resolution below 1 nanometer at 1 kilovolt. It is suitable to work with low voltages, so we can image isolating samples, for instance, biological sample, without a metallic coating on top. So which is very useful for this kind of sample. And we have a magnetic form microscope, and is a real tip scanning microscope. So we can scan large samples, because what it is moving is really the tip. So I want to show you just a few highlights, three highlights about our recent works concerning microsquare arrays, magnetic antidotes, in this case in cooperation with the Democritos Institute of the Material Science Institute of Madrid, and in T-shaped structures with the CBPF and the University of Santiago de Chile. So regarding the microsquare arrays, you can see on the left the topography, on the right the magnetic signal. Those squares made of iron boron and amorphous alloy were developed to be used as sensors using a magneto-optical Kerr effect in the diffractive mode. And with the MFM, we have checked that the magnetic domain state of this microsquare can exhibit 4 domains, like this one. This is the so-called Landau state, or 7 domain, the so-called diamond state. So those 2 states are minima in the energy landscape, and they are very close in value. So the remanent state of this square can be one or the other. But in order to get this nice image, we have to work previously, because using a commercial tip is not a good idea. You can see here, using a commercial tip, you start having some contrast, but the contrast vanish as long as the image is taken. So we have to prepare our own tips with a sputtering coating, standard silicon tips with chromium, cobalt, chromium. With 20 nanometer of cobalt, you can see that we start distinguishing the structure, but with a low signal to noise ratio. And finally, with 30 nanometers of cobalt, we obtain this nice image. In the case of the antidotes by focus ion beam, the idea is that we can drill the nanoholes with a periodicity that cannot be achieved, for instance, using the alumina template method that is used by other groups. So for instance, we can have square arrays of nanoholes. You can see that we have prepared arrays with different periodicity, 240 or 360 nanometer. And the films are made of permalloy, cobalt, or bilayer film with cobalt or permalloy. And the idea is that the initial thin film is the one that exhibits the looping in blue. And by drilling the holes, the sample hardens a lot. The coercivity increases because these holes, as you will see in a minute, change the domain state of the sample. In particular, you can see the topography on the left, magnetic signal on the right, and there are two different regions in the magnetic landscape. On the one hand, we have these regions with a tiny contrast, and you can see in the unit cell, we have bright contrast, dark contrast, so the spins are pointing like this. In this case, bright and dark, here is pointing like that. So in the middle, we have what is called a low energy superdomain wall. So this is the structure of this region. And but we also have another regions which exhibit a strong contrast, either single contrast, dark or bright, or dipolar contrast. It means that there are a lot of magnetic poles accumulated in those regions. And the one with only one kind of contrast, those are the regions where two low energy superdomain walls end. And this structure is developed. This is called a high energy superdomain wall. And when we have 1, 2, 3, 4 low energy domain walls that end in a region, we have dipolar contrast with this spin structure. So this explains why when we use the magnetic antidotes for magnetic separation, the magnetic nanoparticles accumulate in some regions. Those are the regions that exhibit these high energy superdomain walls. And finally, in the case of these artificial nanostructures with T-shaped structure, this is an idea that came from
You
Chile
have 1
and Brazil,
minute, José Miguel.
Yes, thank you. And they propose to use this T-shaped structure to store 2 bits of information, 1 bit given by the vertical branch pointing upwards or downwards, and the other by the horizontal branch pointing rightwards or leftwards. So that was a theoretical proposal. And then at the CBPF, João Paulo's group fabricated with e-beam lithography the structures, and we look at them using a magnetic form microscopy. So you can see that was the initial field. We removed the field, and this structure is stabilized in this state, bright and dark. So validation upwards, bright and dark leftwards. When we change the magnetic field, for instance, like this, only the horizontal branch changes. So only this bit changes. And by doing so, we can obtain the 4 different magnetic domain states for this T-shaped structure. So they can store 2 bits of information. So that was all I wanted to show you. And thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, José Miguel. We are open to questions. We have time for perhaps one or two questions. Just one short question, José Miguel. When you produce the samples with the FIB, or all the equipments are in a clean environment, so you can move the samples without disturbing it too much, yeah?
Yes, that's right. We have a clean room in my institute.
Okay.
Victor Manuel has a question.
Sí, thank you. José Miguel, concerning your biological applications, can you explain a little bit about?
Yes, okay. We have the idea is with this, those are non-magnetic, okay, but we use these titanium nanocolumns to prepare an antibacterial coating, because the addition of the bacteria is impeded, and especially only a few of them can attach to this corrugated surface, but they cannot proliferate. And regarding the bioelectrode, it's using this kind of nanocolumns, but made of platinum or gold, because those are noble metals and are stable in physiological media, to apply electric current or to read electric current. So we have made a patent, and now we are trying to publish the paper regarding this bioelectrodes application. We have several regarding the antibacterial nanocolumnar coatings.
I have a last question from Clodoaldo. Please, Clodoaldo.
Hi, can you say again why the commercial tip is not good and when you cover it better?
Well, you know, when you buy a tip, if you are going to use it to scan a hard disk, for instance, it's quite easy. But when you use a nanostructure, when you want to scan nanostructure, you have to take care of the tip stray field on the one hand, in order not to perturbate the magnetic state, in order not to change the magnetic state of your sample, but also the coercivity of your tip. In this case, what was happening was that the tip was being remagnetized by the sample stray field. You can see that they will send you tips with low coercivity or with high coercivity, low magnetic moment, high magnetic moment, but they are not so reproducible. My advice is better if you can prepare your own tips, at least for challenging samples.
And do you have any problem with stability of the measurement, like with charge, electric charge or something, or not? When you measure
no, this is quite stable, as you can see here. But of course, with commercial tips, in the case of the antidotes, it was impossible to distinguish the magnetic domain state because the tip was perturbating a lot.
Okay. Thank you.
So we have to move on now. Jose Miguel, there is a question in the chat, if you can answer, concerning the focus ion beam by Noelia.
Okay.
If you can answer in the chat, it will be nice. So thank you. We move now on. I would like to invite Nicolas Vidal from Chile, from the Universidad de la Frontera. Nicolas?
Yes, I'm here.
You can share your screen, please. I'll let you know when you have 1 minute, okay?
Okay. Can you see?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much to the organizer for the invitation. My name is Nicolás Vidal. I am from Chile. I belong to the Universidad de la Frontera. The Universidad de la Frontera is located at the south of Chile, about 670 kilometers south of Santiago. It's a small city, but very nice. This is how the campus in the Universidad de la Frontera looks like. And there is the Condensed Matter Physics Research Group, we are, and CONDMAT UFRO, that is we call. So our group is composed by 8 persons so far: Dr. Eugenio Fogel, Eduardo Cisternas, Pablo Diaz, it is me, Fabian Dietrich, postdoc, Guido Betzais, who has recently got his master's degree, and 2 undergraduate students. So the main research lines and main collaborations we have in the group can be summarized in the following points. We have some experience in cylindrical magnetic nanostructures, where we basically study some static and dynamic properties. We usually perform micromagnetic simulation, or we also do analytical calculations. Here we study the reversal process, the magnetization reversal process, the magnetic texture formation, stabilization, vortices, skyrmions, block points, and so on. We also have some experience on spin waves in a classical frame, but also in a quantum frame, which is this topic related to magnonics. We have also have some experience on artificial spin ice. All of these points are related mainly to the numerical calculations or micromagnetic simulations, and also analytical calculations. We have experience on material for light harvesting and energy storage when power optimization and other more specific projects. In particular, the latter is related to DFT calculations, first principle calculation. So, yeah, we are basically a theoretical group. So we have different methods to achieve our goals. In particular, we perform analytical calculation. For instance, we are able to compute the interaction between nanoparticles with some magnetic configurations. In specific here, we compute the magnetostatic interaction between a field polarized magnetic tip, cylindrical magnetic tip, with a magnetic dot which can host a given magnetic configuration specific. We focused in a Skyrmion configuration. We've also performed calculations about how is the influence that the Gaussian curvatures of a given surface has on the magnetic configuration hosted in that nanostructure. And we have also have some experience on compute the geometrical dependence that a given magnetic configurations like a vortex core or a Skyrmion has on the geometrical parameters in the system, specifically an anode. The main collaborators in this regard are well, probably there is a lot, but Dr. Juan Escric from USACH Chile, Baxon Carvalho from Universidad de Viscosa en Brasil, Alejandro Riveros, Universidad Central Chile, Felipe Tejo, Instituto de la Ciencia de Materiales en España, la doctora Dora Albier, Dr. Gabriel Elías de la USACH, and I'm really sorry if I forgot someone. Regarding the micromagnetic simulations, we use basically UNF and MUMAX to perform it. For instance, here we have compute the dynamical response, specifically the dynamic susceptibility of a nanowire with a modulated diameter. We found here that by including this modulation, we can see the appearance of different peaks, resonance peaks. Also, we have studied the current-driven domain world motion in a similar nanostructure like this one. Related to the Monte Carlo simulation, here we have a lattice and lattice artificial spin ice. In this case, with vacancies, with the idea of compute the energy, which is the best scenario for in related to the percent of vacancy in the system.
León, ¿qué tal estáis?
Sorry? Okay.
Bien, no pasa nada, ya me lo imaginaba. De hecho, te he escrito un email al Gmail para que luego lo mirases más tranquilamente. No, es que esta mañana me han llamado desde
Perdón.
Okay, can you hear me?
Sí, gracias. Sorry.
Okay. So, regarding to the quantum spin waves or magnonics, we're mainly focused on the topological magnonics. In specific, here we have a work where we explained the topological properties of a given material. I will talk about later. And here we have exploited the magnon-phonon interactions in order to induce a magnetoelastic coupling by applying a magnetic field gradient. This is a quantum theory of spin waves, and the main collaborators are the Dr. Álvaro Núñez, Alejandro Roldán, both of Chile, Dr. Rembert Drin from Utrecht University, and Dr. Alejandro León from UTEM, Chile. So finally, regarding to the DFT calculation of first principle calculations, some of us have some experience on using the softwares, the Siesta and Quantum Expresso. For instance, here they studied the absorption of electrically polarized particles on a FCC surface under the diffusion of lithium ions in vanadium pentoxide. Has been studied for eventual improvement of the energy storage. Our equipment is basically dedicated to numerical calculation because we are still a theoretical group, but we of course we would like to have some major equipment in the future. So we have 4 computers dedicated to the numerical calculations. This are the, here you have the features.
You have 1 minute.
Okay.
Nicolas.
So I would like to highlight 2 works we have recently published. The first one is related to explain the topological gap opened at the key point in a chromium iron 3 monolayer, which is well explained by the Kitaev term. We basically solved this Hamiltonian. We found the here in the blue lines is the absence of the Kitaev term, and the red lines corresponds to the presence of the Kitaev term. So it can be seen that the Kitaev terms allows to open this gap. Here can be clearly seen the edge modes in this system. And finally, by using micromagnetic simulations in this work, which has been recently published a few weeks ago, by considering this structure, we have stabilized different magnetic configurations, and then we proved how robust are they by applying a magnetic field, and we found that the way to destruct such a magnetic configurations, we have to reach fields of up to 50 millitesla. So well, that's all I wanted to tell you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicolas. We have time perhaps for one short question.
I have one.
Okay, Juan.
Yes, Nicolas, about the last work in modulated nanowires.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of mode do you have here trapped in these configurations? It's a vortex state and different state?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. Yeah, here you have a vortex configuration, but specifically in the center of it, you have a block point magnetic wall, essentially. So here you have a singularity, and that's why we suppose that we need this amount of magnetic field to remove it.
Perfect. Okay. I have more questions, but I think we could talk after that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nicolas.
Thank you.
We should move on now. So I would like to invite the next speaker, which is María Luisa Fernández Gubiera de la Universidad del País Vasco.
Hi, thank you.
Isa, por favor.
Yes, it's here. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Can you see properly?
Yeah, but it's not in presentation mode.
Okay,
So,
I'm putting now.
okay.
Fine. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the presentation and also for giving me the opportunity to present my group. And the group is the group of magnetism and magnetic materials in the University of Basque Country in the north of Spain. This is the people working in this group. I mean, this photo is, I think, is the last one, but we are not all the people here, but most of them, yes. And it was the day that we were celebrating that the Manu, but many of you probably you know him, is in retire, is emeritus professor, and Alicia Amuela also was in the group and now is also retired. Well, while a lot of people working in the group, this is a multidisciplinary group where we are working physicists and biologists, electronic engineer and chemical engineer. At present, we have 9 predocs and 1 postdoc. And you can follow us in this Twitter account that the young people of the group keeps active. And you can also find more information, more detailed information of what we are doing in this webpage. Well, the group, we are working mainly in 2 big fields, and one part of the group is working in materials for biomedical application, and another part of the group is working in multifunctional materials. But there is a third line that is common for both fields, that are sensors and actuators. In this case, these multifunctional materials, some of them we are trying to design and looking for materials with nice properties for using as sensor and actuators. And some of these sensors we are using in this field, in the field of biomedical application. And this is the people working in each of this area. Well, regarding this field, the magnetic materials for biomedical application, in the last 10 years, we are working with magnetotactic bacteria. This bacteria is very special microorganisms. This is an aquatic microorganisms that synthesize magnetic nanoparticles of very high chemical purity, quite the size and the shape are very uniform, depends on the species. And there are magnetic single domain stable at room temperature. There are, in fact, due to the genetic control of the bacteria and the synthesis of these nanoparticles, they are really very good model for studying 1D nanostructure. That is one of the objectives of this research line. The other part is just we try to show if this bacteria could be a very nice nanobio robot for using as an anti-cancer agent. I'm going to show you a little bit which are the main characteristics of the bacteria or what can we do with this bacteria. No? One of the things is the bacteria synthesize the nanoparticles, and the nanoparticles are arranged forming a chain. Due to this configuration, the bacteria can orientate in the geomagnetic field lines, so we can control the bacteria if we apply external magnetic field, and this property is called magnetotaxis. The other point, as the bacteria is able to sense the presence of gradient of oxygen, it is because the bacteria present chemical sensors. It is a property that is called aerotaxis. So, and the other point is the bacteria can move due to the presence of the flagella. So these properties, the self-propulsion, the chemical sensors, and the magnetotaxis makes the bacteria we propose this bacteria as a nanobiorobot, because we can get and we can track the bacteria. The bacteria, we can use the bacteria to drag loading. I mean, just to deliver drug in the position that we want. We can use the bacteria in imaging as a contrast imaging, and we can use the bacteria due to the presence of the nanoparticles. We can use in hyperthermia and also in photothermia. At the same time, it's easy to modify the magnetic properties of the bacteria, and also the people, the biologists in the group can perform genetic modification. So in this part of the research, this research line, we are working with people in the Hospital of Cruces, in particular with Dr. Alfonso Gómez de Turriaga, that is an oncologist, and also with Dr. Pablo Domínguez, that is a radiophysics. Regarding the other field, the multifunctional magnetic materials, we are working in two different materials. One of them are the magnetic set memory alloys. In this kind of materials, what we are trying to do is just to develop and optimize the magnetic set memory materials for clean and efficient energy application based on solid state cooling. So we are trying to optimize the magnetocaloric effect. That is one of the subject. And the other point is that we try to improve and develop magnetic set memory alloys for magnetic actuation. The other part, the other materials in this field, the multifunctional magnetic materials, are the magnetostrictive nanoparticles with high magnetization. In this case, what we are doing, we are synthesizing, and we are doing the synthesis, the characterization of iron cobalt high magnetization nanoparticles, and we embed these nanoparticles in fluids for preparing magnetorheological fluids, and also we are embed these nanoparticles in elastomers in order to prepare magnetoelastomers. So in the last research line, the magnetic sensors and actuators, in the field of the magnetic sensors, we are working with different kind of sensors. One is the magnetoelastic, the sensors that are based on magnetoelastic resonance, as you can see in this image. And this is an example, for example, how we can measure the viscosity of the fluid with the change in the maximum of the magnetoelastic resonance. And the other sensors that we prepare are based on magnetoelectrics and also magnetoresistance and magnetoimpedance sensors. Here you can see one magnetoimpedance sensors and the size of these devices that we can prepare. And this is a magnetoresistance sensors that is combined with microfluidic. In this case, we are preparing this kind of devices in order to see if we are able to detect when the bacteria swing along the microfluidic channel, and if we are able to quantify with the magnetoresistance sensors the quantity of the amount of bacteria we are having in the channel. The other part of this research line, that is the magnetic actuators, based on state memory alloys, what we are doing is just trying to prepare cooling devices based on magnetocaloric effects. And here is an example of different samples that we have prepared that we can get this difference. There is a variation in temperature of 2 Kelvin just with applying to Tesla to the materials. And the other actuators are actuators based on magnetorheological effect in freeze and elastomers. As an example, I would like to show you this response, the shear stress as a function of shear rate of these nanoparticles, and we can see
1 minute.
reversible behavior. Okay, fine. So these are the collaborations that we are having in the different research lines. As you can see, we don't have any in South America, so I think this could be a good opportunity to start a collaboration. And in order to, the equipment that we have in our laboratory, I would like to say, for fabrication, we have a different furnace to prepare alloys, to prepare single crystals. We have ball milling in order to prepare power, sputtering for preparing thin films, single roller quenching for amorphous ribbons. And we also have all the equipments in the laboratory, photolithography laboratory, and a microbiology laboratory for growing the bacteria. For characterization, we have a very good general service in our university, and also we have complementary equipment to this magnetometer that is in this general service, like, for example, magnetic force microscopy or magneto-optical effect microscopy. We are also users of synchrotron and neutron facilities, and we are doing simulation using FEMS, COMSOL Multiphysics, MOMAX, and Boris. Well, with this, I want to finish, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. We have time for a short question, one. I have perhaps one short question. These bacteria that you are analyzing, they are, perhaps I missed, they are gathered in the environment, no? They are environmental magnetotactic bacteria, no?
Yes.
You do not, okay, you don't have a kind of reactor in which you grow them. No,
yes, we grow them in the
laboratory.
Yes, we cultivate in the laboratory. We grow them in the laboratory. They are not pathogenic. They are not pathogenic bacteria. They are living in water, in sweet water and also in salt water, some marine environment, and also in rivers and lakes. It's quite common, but we cultivate in the laboratory. Yes, at least 3 different species. We are working with 3 different species.
Okay, thank you very much. So we move on now. The next speaker is Professor Clodoaldo Araújo from the Universidade de Viçosa in Brazil. Clodoaldo, please.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Can you see my screen? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are from, I'm head of this laboratory of spintronic nanometers. We are in a countryside here between Belo Horizonte and Rio de Janeiro. So we are in the Sea of Mountains. In our university, started for agricultural technology applications, but now we have several different lines. And also with many companies trying to link this science with the company industry. We have several characterizations here for multidisciplinary projects. So we got money from this CISNANO national program to buy some equipments. And for physics, we are also building a laboratory for nanoscopy characterization. So this will be our new laboratory. And we have also recently developed a small clean room where we can do microfabrication and nanofabrication in general. But still, we are getting samples from collaborators. We used to do some samples in CBTF and other in Europe. And then we have mainly characterized it in our laboratory with some homemade instrumentation equipment. We have recently organized a national nanomagnetic spectrum meeting. And we have lots of theoretic guys working with us. And recently we have started to have some experimentalists also in our labs. We are mainly focused in topological phase of the matter. So we are focusing on spintronics. So some devices with topological magnetic geometries and also topological materials. And we are also focusing on nanomagnetism using nanostructures to find some or geometrical topologies, magnetic geometric topologies, or frustration. And now we'll start to talking about our main field here, that is artificial spin ice. So we had almost 10 years ago, people start to see that in natural crystals, you can have residual entropy like in water, ice. So these materials are now called natural spin ice. But then in this spin ice, people can see at very low temperature monopoles being generated, emergent monopoles being generated. Here in our group, the three guys we have here before me already here, they predicted that some artificial structures using nanomagnets would also carry these monopoles. So by Monte Carlo simulations, they could calculate and see the monopole charts. And then my goal was to try to do it experimentally. So we started to do it samples from CBTF and also samples from Portugal, Braga. And then we could have nice results with where we can see by magnet or MFM. We can see the monopoles being generated, so it's energetic monopoles where we have some charges here to count as monopoles. And then we can follow these monopoles and see the transports. We could also play with temperature using the synchrotron facility. Julie is here, I guess, and Julie is our collaborator there. And then we can do also nice measurements there to try to find these monopoles and follow the dynamics of the monopoles. That were our goal, to try to show experimentally what we have predicted years ago by theory. And also we could keep going in this way using our own MFM, so we can also see nicely the charges here in the vertex and follow the charge with external field. So we can control and investigate the transports. Another thing we are investigating here in spintronics now is magnetic memory. So we are using vortex magnetic structures to try to store bits of information. So we have by NUMAX investigated multi-bit states, and then we show that when we use antiferromagnetic to pin the vortex, we can pin the vortex in different positions and also rates, and then we can have different frequency and different phase and amplitude of the magnetic resistance, and then we can store many bits in these structures, lots of bits like 64. We have fabricated these memories now in Portugal, and we are characterizing in here in our lab. Another thing we are interested in proximity effect in superconductors. So using ferromagnetic material close to superconductors, we can stop very near the critical temperature of these superconductors and play with the magnetic field to have an infinite magnetic resistance. So we study the interface to increase the quality of the proximity effect. And then we can, very near the critical temperature, we can have this very large magnetic resistance, close to infinite magnetic resistance. So these superconducting spin bulbs. And then another thing we are interested in 2D materials spintronics. We have tried here spin FET, so it's like a CMOS transistors, but using ferromagnetic electrodes, tunnel ferromagnetic electrodes, to inject and collect spin currents. And then by using these vortex configurations, we can achieve the anti-ferromagnetic position configurations needed for zero field. And we have, by help with the INL, developed a very nice epitaxial graphene. Then we could do microfabrication to have lots of devices. And then we could characterize the spin transport in this graphene, very long spin fusion length, like 6 micrometers. And we could then firstly characterize this magnetic resistance and spin transport at room temperature. That was the first measurement made in this way. So here we compare the pure spin current and the spin polarized current made by local configuration and non-local configuration. And then we see that when the pure spin, pure spin current has no much influence of the temperature, but the spin polarized spin current has. And then
at 1 minute, Clodoaldo.
Low temperature, both are the same. So then we were able to apply gate voltage in this transistor to check if it works like a spin FET. And then we saw that when we have a local configuration, the voltage kills very quickly the spin current. And in a non-local configuration, that killing is not so broad and is a little bit broad. Then we conclude that by using local configuration is the best solution because we need just 2 contacts. And also we can kill the spin polarization with a very low voltage. This is interesting for our application. I would like to thank my collaborators in the works that I showed here. And also thank you for the attention. If you want to contact me, this is my mail and my website. Thank you.
Thank you, Clodoaldo, for the nice talk. Felipe Garrido have a question, please, Felipe.
Yes, thank you, Clodoaldo, for your presentation. It was very interesting, and I have followed your works, some works. And I have one question: it is difficult to generate and study multi-layers of artificial spin ice?
Can you say again? Difficult to generate what?
It is difficult to generate or study multi-layers of artificial spin ice, 2, 3 layers.
You mean one layer separated by another by insulator or something?
Yes, yes, something like that. And in order to study the vertex population, something like that.
Yeah, we have predicted this 10 years ago, the theory, but it was made just 1 year ago by a group in Europe. It's very difficult to do because you need to do lithography with several layers, but people are doing now. So people could see 3 monopoles in this configuration.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you again. Any additional questions? Do you have time for one more? Okay. So thank you, Clodoaldo, again for the nice talk. We can move on for the next talk. So now I would like to invite Alejandro Riveros from the UCLM. Alejandro, por favor, please.
Yes, I'm in sharing. Okay. Can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon. First of all, thanks to the organizer for this 3-day session of talks, which is a nice opportunity to show the equipment and recent work of our group. My name is Alejandro Riveros, and with Juan Luis Palma, we are members of the group on magnetism on condensed matter physics in Universidad Central de Chile, here in Chile. The University of Central de Chile has 2 campuses, one located in La Serena, in where is located the group of astrophysics, and the other campus located at the capital. In the capital is located our group, where we perform theoretical and experimental studies and also simulations. Here you can see the picture of the building. And here you can see a picture of part of the lab of the group. And in this picture, we can see the future sala fria, in where will be installed the cluster of computers of the group, which will be operating on January of next year. The main line of research of our group is devoted to nanomagnetism, in particular in stabilization and dynamics of magnetic textures in nanostructures, in synthesis of nanoparticles and lithography, and in artificial spinite systems. Other line of research of the group are focused on statistical mechanics and on Monte Carlo simulation of classical and quantum spin systems. As a group, we have collaboration in Chile with different professors and postdocs from different institutions, mostly from Universidad de Santiago, but also with Universidad de la Frontera, Universidad Autónoma, Adolfo Ibáñez, and INEA. And also we have active collaboration with professors and postdocs in Spain and Brazil. For equipment for fabrication and characterization, the group has an UV lithography and electron beam lithography, thanks to the collaboration with Sedena, a MOOC in an optical microscope, which is under construction. Also equipments for aluminum anodization and electrodeposition, together with minor equipment for synthesis of magnetic nanoparticles. Besides, we are very happy since yesterday we have received the good news that our group has been awarded in funding to the acquisition of an AFM microscope of a total cost of $500,000, which will be operating in next year. Regarding the equipment for simulations, the group has access to 2 clusters. One cluster located in Santiago, which is fully available for the group. This cluster is composed principally by 4 professional computers, each one with GPU NVIDIA RTX A5000 of the professional line of NVIDIA. And the second cluster is located in La Serena, which is partially available for the group. This cluster with acronym WINA, which also means woman in indigenous language, has 6 units of NVIDIA Ampere 100, the last graphic card of the high performance computing Tesla line of NVIDIA. WINA has a cost of $169,000. And as you already figured out, we are centering your attention on the GPU power of the cluster, because as this table shows, various micromagnetic codes are developed for running in GPU with a better performance in micromagnetic simulation. Also, we can estimate the power of computing of WINA using the graphs of Leliat and Mulkers, which shows the performance in terms of the number of cells sampled per second in a micromagnetic simulation for different NVIDIA GPU released between 2010 and 2018. It is interesting to see that the performance of the different GPU card as a function of year is not linear, as seen by this curve. But where is WINA in this plot? As shown by NVIDIA, WINA will have more than 5 times the performance of NVIDIA V100 released in 2017. Therefore, as the throughput of NVIDIA V100 is 600 million cells per second, we estimate that the performance of WINA in running in a micromagnetic simulation will be approximately 3,000 million cells per second. Besides, the 6 units of NVIDIA A100 will be connected by NVIDIA NVLink bridge for a higher performance of the clusters. Also, the group has funding from different research projects with a total funding of approximately $90,000 for this year and next year, which includes $4,400 for theses with co-advisory condition. So we can invite students that are currently working with you to perform their thesis with co-advisory with our group. As recent highlights, the first work that we want to show is a study in antidote arrays with experimental and simulation analysis. Although this work is not so recent, we want to show it since the power of computing for simulation at that moment was a handicap to obtain the whole hysteresis curve in order to complement the experimental study. Indeed, as shown by MFM image of the antidote array sample, at remanence, there exists superdomain wall, these shaded lines, arranged in different directions. Now, with the power of computer of the group, it will be able to obtain the whole hysteresis curve and for different field direction. A more recent work that we want to show is correspond to a work where it is shown that it can be stabilized fermions in an array of nanodomes, as Giuliano and Lucio already explained in detail this work. We will not explain it further. Nevertheless, due to the power of computing of the clusters, we could simulate the whole sample of nanodomes. So if any one of you is interested in this work, we can collaborate in studying fermion in nanodomes arrays.
You have 1 minute, Alejandro.
In a more recent work, we study the effect of non-uniform perpendicular anisotropy on the dynamic magnetization in nanorings. We choose a radial PMA profile, and here we show the dynamic susceptibility as a function of K and as a function of the frequency of the in-plane pulse. As shown, the frequency modes depend on the K value, and the frequency shift between modes depend on the widening of the ring. We also obtain the spatial distribution for each mode for different K value. Here we show for this particular K value for the vortex state, the no state, and the Meron state. In another work also published this year, we have studied the energy barrier of fermion in ultra-thin circular nanodots by theoretical calculation, by calculating the magnetic energy of the fermion as a function of the fermion core and as a function of deviation length. we will be able to obtain the energy barrier for the annihilation of schemium by three mechanisms: contraction, expansion, and deviation. The lowest energy barrier is shown here at zero field and subtraction of the field. The lowest energy barrier is very small at zero field, showing that the schemium will be quickly annihilated by thermal fluctuation. Nevertheless, it is interesting to show that the lifetime stability of the schemium, it is enhanced by applying a magnetic field perpendicular to the sample, reaching value close to 30 kT0, enable the schemium to live for several hours before it is annihilated at the border. And the last work that we want to show corresponds to the other line of Monte Carlo simulation. In this work, we obtain a general method to sample microscopic configuration compatible with a fixed energy E0. This method relies on the existence of an estimator of temperature and equation of state. So by iterative simulation, we can find the temperature T0 compatible with E0 with fast agrees with the energy input, and the method has a great accuracy as shown by this value of this table. We have applied the method for this one model to obtain the temperature equilibrium of two lattice or two joint lattice at thermal equilibrium. Thank you for your attention, and you are welcome to work with us. Here is our email, my email, if you want to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you once more, Alejandro. I think we are a little bit short of time now for this talk, so I would like to ask the question to be put on the chat so we can move on to the next talk in order to respect the schedule. So thank you again, Alejandro, for the nice talk.
Thank you.
The next speaker I would like to invite is Cristina Gómez Polo from la Universidad Pública de Navarra in Spain. So Cristina, please.
Okay, one moment. Do you hear me? Yeah, no?
Yeah, but it's not in presentation mode. Oh, okay, now it is.
Now it is.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. I would like to acknowledge the work of the organizers to schedule these meetings, these Latino American meetings, that at least they have allowed us just to have a contact with old friends that for a long time we have not met, even though in the long distance. So I'm going to present the activities, the research activities of our research group at the Public University of Navarra in Pamplona, Spain. That the name of our group is Propiedades Físicas y Aplicaciones de Materiales, Physical Properties and Application of Materials. Just before starting with the description of the research, let me introduce some hot topics about our region in Spain. So those that are not very familiar where Navarra or Pamplona is located, just let me know, indicate you that this is a region that is close to the French border. And as you can see, the most famous activity in Pamplona is that related with the bulls, with the San Fermin festivals that unfortunately, due to the pandemic situation, has been cancelled during the last 2 years. I'm not very fond of this activity, but I will encourage you to come to visit us, just to visit very nice landscapes, very interesting cultural heritage, and also good wine and excellent food. So besides this introduction, I would invite you to come to visit us, just and to start collaboration related with the research activities that we are developing. Here, these are a brief outline of some data from our university. We are quite a young university and not very big, and the research activity is distributed among the zone research institutes, and our research group belong to the so-called Institute for Advanced Materials and Mathematics. So the members of our group, we are close to 13 members, covering full professor, assistant professor, predocts and researchers. Our research lines are basically related with three main research lines, that is ferromagnetic shape memory alloys, magnetic nanoparticles, and also magnetic sensors and actuators. And we have related to the equipment, the magnetic equipment, we have the basic magnetic equipment to do the basic characteristics, but here you have the web page of our research group. So here you can specifically find more data about our projects, about our publications, or our research facilities. In any case, I would like just to introduce some of the most recent activities that we are developing at Pamplona, and I'm going to present you our activity basically distributed in the research projects that we are now involved. As I have told, there is a strong research line related with ferromagnetic shape memory alloys, and we are basically starting with microparticles obtained by ball milling. And we are specifically interested in the analysis of the effect of the ball milling in the magnetostructural properties of microparticles, especially analyzing the magnetocaloric effect. We make polymer microparticles composites, thinking in the application as mechanical dampings. And one of the most strongest recent research lines is related with the 3D printing and the development of different printable composites. Also, we host an Argentinian researcher coming from Bariloche. He has been with us for more than 1 year, 1.5 years, and he is planning to spend another year with us. And in these ferromagnetic shape memory alloys, he works, and instead of using polymers, he's using low melting alloys just to produce such a type of composites, basically to try to study again magnetocaloric metal composites and also printable, but in this case below 280 centigrades. He works to improve the magnetocaloric properties, as in the previous case. The final goal of the research activity is to be able to employ these composites for 3D printing and to develop magnetoactive exchange heaters. In combination with magnetic nanoparticles, we have another research project that is devoted to the development of functional filaments, just mixing these magnetic particles, both from magnetic shape memory alloys and also magnetic nanoparticles. And here you have some image of some some pieces that we have been developing, but basically this project is devoted to the development of sensors that is with these functional filaments to be able to print sensor codes that afterwards we detect with JMI sensors, and also to develop thermal sensors. Regarding specifically to magnetic nanoparticles, we have been also, we work in multifunctional magnetic nanoparticles, in this case devoted to the health sector. In this case, we made multifunctional magnetite nanoparticles coated with silica, and we studied how these multifunctional systems could be employed for magnetic hyperthermia, or for drug delivery, or for images, I mean in resonance, in RMN. Regarding the magnetic hyperthermia, we have the characteristic calorimeter setup, but also we have a specific AC magnetometer, just to be able to compare the calorimeter response of these magnetic nanoparticles, of this magnetic hyperthermia, by means of the analysis of the study of the dynamic magnetization, that is the AC magnetization curves, to estimate this R, and also to evaluate which are the harmonic contributions, because due to the possibility to apply these systems for the new imaging technique that it is called the magnetic nanoparticle imaging. We also have a recent research line related with the development of rare earth-free permanent magnets based on assembled magnetic nanoparticles. And this is specifically the research line that I am more directly involved. And this is related with the use of magnetic nanoparticles for environmental applications. We have a recent national project awarded that is focused on the use of magnetic nanoparticles for water remediation, for water remediation, employing photocatalysts. And so our main interest is to develop multifunctional magnetic nanoparticles that are composed by a magnetic nucleus together
you have
with,
1 minute, Christina.
Okay, with a semiconductor. And we are interested in enhancing the absorption light of visible sunlight, and also to analyze the effects of magnetic field on this photocatalytic effect. We have another previous studies of absorption of phenol substances in water employing magnetic nanoparticles, in this case iron and iron cementite coated with carbon. We have also a recent research line of a researcher that has come to our group that is working in solar cells, and this is the research, one of the research lines that we have been working more efficiently, I would say, in the last years, that this is that related with magnetic sensors and actuators. And we are basically in the recent years devoted to the development of systems to harvest, to recollect vibrational energy by means of either levitation systems coupled with JMI sensors, or in this case, the last this last study, or this last project focus on magnetostrictive materials. So I am just finishing. We will be delighted that you come to Pamplona, or you contact with us to start collaborations in these fields. You have the information here. This is my email. All the lines have been indicated, which is the contact, the responsible of our group that will be in charge of specifically of the topic that I have presented. Y permitidme que finalice mi charla pasando al portuñol, que es la unión que nos une, la lengua que nos une. Así es que muchas gracias por vuestra atención. Muito obrigada y que viva el portuñol.
Thanks, Christina, for the nice talk. We have time for a short question. Clodoaldo, please. You are muted. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can ask.
So about the filament for 3D printer.
Yeah.
The data you showed was a Curie temperature of the filament. Is that, or?
What do you mean? Do you mean this one?
There was a file with the temperature vanishing. The magnetization vanished with the temperature. I could see there. Well.
I mean, regarding this 3D, regarding this 3D printing, well, we have mainly two lines. One is with polymers, and the second one is with low melting point mixtures. You know, so I don't know if which is exactly the question that you.
If you go 2 slides down.
Yeah.
I guess
this one.
Yes, this measurement in the right side, the right side here, low right side. Yeah, what means this?
Do you mean this one of the thermal
sensor? Yeah.
No, the idea is to employ the magnetic probe. I mean, this is a ferromagnetic state memory alloys that they have the transition coupled with the magnetic. And so the idea is to use these huge changes in the susceptibility to measure temperature.
Okay. Okay. Thank
and
you.
the idea is to employ magnetic sensors, just couple, I mean, to do such a type of codes, just to be able to measure position, I mean, just some kind of information and also with temperature, but with these microparticles embedded in the filaments. I don't know if I have been able just to answer your question.
No, yes, yes.
Have I?
Thank you.
Thank you, Cristina. Thank you, Clodoaldo.
Okay, thank you.
We have to move on. So I would like to invite Professor Carlos Luna from Mexico.
Hello.
Hello. You can share your screen, please.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, I think it's not in the, how to say, presentation mode yet.
Okay, it's
you have to
click
the reproducir allá.
Yeah, but now? Can you see?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay.
Now it's okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, I'm Carlos Luna Criado. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present my research group and our research line and see your interesting expositions. Congratulations. It's a great pleasure for me. I work at the Autonomous University of Nuevo León in the northeast of Mexico. It is one of the most important universities of Mexico with 6 campuses, 26 faculties, more than 200,000 students, 7,000 professors, and many educational programs. I am a full professor at the Faculty of Mathematical and Physical Sciences of this university. I am a part of an academic research group named Physics of the Low-Dimensional Systems and Their Applications. This group is constituted by Dr. Raquel Mendoza Resendez, Diana Castañeda, and me. We have in this moment 3 students, Daniela, Armando, and David. Another member of my group is Dr. Enrique Diaz Barriga Castro. He works in another institution in the Laboratory of Electron Microscopy of the Research Center of Applied Chemistry. But we carry out together many investigations. He did his PhD studies with us. We collaborate with other groups of my university that help us to perform biological experiments. In the last 6 years, we conclude 8 postgraduate theses, also 3 theses are in process. Also, more than 40 students have learned nanotechnology methods in our laboratory during the scientific summer stays. We have several collaborations with other groups. The most active in these moments are the collaborations with all friends from Spain and Slovakia, the groups of the Professor Víctor Manuel de la Prida, at the University of Oviedo, the Dr. Arkady Sukov at the University of País Vasco, Dr. Nuria Núñez at the Institute of Material Science of Seville, Professor Ratislav Varga at the University of Pavel Joseph Safarik. Also, we have collaborations with other friends, Dr. Jairinho Ramos at the University of Burman in Canada, and Dr. Ali Arman at the Azad Islamic University of Iran. We have a laboratory for the chemical synthesis of nanomaterials and access to scanning electron microscopy, several X-ray diffractometers, several spectroscopies, and other characterization techniques. Also, we work with transmission electron microscopy. Interestingly, this microscope has a module that allows us to heat the samples from room temperature to 1000 Celsius degree in situ during the study. So we can study in situ phase transformations and thermal decompositions of nanoparticles and nanowaves. We have several academic facilities. The students of all master's and doctorate programs in physical engineering receive a scholarship and they can carry out financed academic stays. It facilitates the coordination of theses with other institutions. We have experience in developing inter-university collaboration agreements, and we have now very interesting opportunities to create new double degree programs, even in the modalities of e-learning or hybrid education. We organize academic events in our faculty. For instance, in 2015, we organized la primera jornada de conferencias sobre magnetismo en sistemas de baja dimensionalidad. In 2016, we organized the International Congress of Materials with Low Dimensionality, with 20 conferences, 4 video conferences, 22 posters, and awards for the best posters of students. We have 3 general lines: the design of synthesis and characterization on nanomaterials and magnetic composites, magnetic and electromagnetic phenomena at the nanoscale, and nanobiomedicine technologies. We have a large experience in the preparation of nanostructures of different compositions. We prepare colloidal nanoparticles self-organized into ordered arrays, nanocrystals self-organized into colloidal supramolecular structures. We prepare ferrofluids and colloidal suspensions of superparamagnetic nanoparticles for capturing contaminants to purify water or capture pathogens in clinical analysis and to drug delivery in cancer therapies. in collaborations with professors Víctor Manuel de la Prida and Ratislav Varga, we studied the microstructural properties of nanowires with different compositions. We have used magnetostatic bacteria to obtain iron oxide nanoparticles. In one investigation, we use bacteria of Cuatro Ciénegas, a very special place in Coahuila, Mexico. It's very nice, very beautiful. We have a patent about it. Other lines are the experimental study of topics in magnetism of the solid state, such as the transition from magnetic multi-domain to monodomain structures, superparamagnetism, spin glass-like behaviors in interacting nanoparticles, magnetic phenomena in nanoparticles of antiferromagnetic materials, such as surface frustration of the antiferromagnetic coupling, spin glass-like behavior, exchange anisotropy, surface and finite size effects in spin float processes like Morin transition. In collaboration with the group of Dr. Senensu Lanceros, we designed a new magnetoelectric transducer based on the coupling between the piezoelectric properties of a polymeric matrix with the magnetostriation properties of cobalt ferrite nanoellipsoids. The nanoellipsoids are aligned, as you can see, and we obtain very nice results. We prepare colloidal gold nanocrystals. We control aggregation states by temperature, so we can modify the plasmonic excitations via changing the temperature or with chemical agents. Other research lines are the use of several cell-assembled novel metal nanoparticles as platforms of surface-enhanced Raman scattering for the detection of biomarkers, superparamagnetic nanoparticles for targeted drug delivery and magnetic hyperthermia. We designed a
We have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. We designed new in vitro experiments to study the magnetic transport and the magnetic recollection of the superparamagnetic vectors in cancer cells with external magnetic fields. We have a patent about it. Also, we prepare silver nanoparticles with or without a magnetic core for their use as antimicrobial agents. We found promising results in the use to treat the hepatopancreatic necrosis disease in shrimps, gambas, camarón. It is a pandemic of these animals that produce millionaire losses all over the world. we have 2 patents about it. This is okay. So this is all production during the last 6 years. We have 40 articles published, 12 patents, several 8 postgraduate theses. And thank you very much for your attention and time. Molto obrigado. Muchas gracias.
Thanks, Carlos, for the nice talk. We are open to questions. Please. Yeah, Jose Miguel Garcia, please.
Yes.
Well, Carlos, can you please comment a little bit about this patent to collect nanoparticles, if I understood well?
Okay. Yes. You know that there are a lot of experiments with rats, with mouses, but maybe in this experiment we lost, are very complex. And we lost information. So we performed very simple experiments based in a culture plate with 2 levels of cancer cell lines. So we can these lines, these cells are separated with by a porous membrane. So we can transfer nutrients and drugs between the 2 levels of cells. So we can do some experiments in order to analyze the effectivity of the transport of the drugs by superparamagnetic vectors. And we found that it's very important, obviously, the application of the magnetic field. Usually, the experiments use magnets with a constant magnetic field, but we observe that this process is optimized with using pulsed magnetic fields, not continuous magnetic field. So it's very simple, this setup, but also it can be used to analyze other properties. For example, the transport of virus or another one. No, it's very, very nice. I don't know if it is good answer.
Yes, okay,
thank you very much for your talk and for your answers. A very nice, institute and a lot of things being done there. We have to move on. So now I would like to invite my friend, and since a long time I don't see him, Javier Moya from Argentina. We are quite neighbors here, but so Javier, please.
Yes. Okay, it's okay. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. You can start.
Well,
you can start. Okay.
Sorry?
You can start, please.
Yes. Hello, I want to thank Jose Miguel for giving me this opportunity to present my work. My name is Javier Moya. I am at the Catholic University of Salta. This is my campus of my university. Salta is a province in the northwest of Argentina. There is a very little tradition in scientific research around here, but it's a very touristic city, and of course, yes, we have wine. We are a very, very small group, in total 3. In addition, we are engineers, and we depend on a larger institute in Buenos Aires. As the time rules, let's start with my job. Okay. Here. My research line is soft magnetic and mechanical properties of amorphous and nanocrystalline metallic alloys. So my experimental sample must be in form of ribbons or wires. The experimental facility that we have here are metal spinning production device. And X-ray diffractometer is a benchtop, but it's a benchtop diffractometer, but for us is enough to get an idea of the state of the art in material science in this part of Argentina. I told you that this is the only X-ray diffractometer for 1,000 kilometers around. Well, and the most important facility we have is this homemade thermoelectric magnetic mechanical properties analyzer. I know it sounds funny that the best instrument we have is a homemade one like this, but let's see deeply. I quickly show you how this instrument works. That is very easy. We use Joule heating to heat the sample. The sample is placed inside these coils. These are the electrical contacts. Here we have a differential transformer to measure the change in length. Here we have an optical pyrometer to measure and control the sample temperature. And with this set of coil, we obtain the magnetic properties, and with this counterbalance beam, we induce stresses or not into the sample. So we can make make stress analysis and magnetic field analysis on the samples. With this device, we are able to obtain the result in this figure simultaneously. In the first graph, we have measures of the electrical resistance in function of the analytic current here. The red curves show the resistance variation at high temperature, while the blue one indicates the measured value of the electrical resistance after the material has been annealed to the indicated current. So in one figure, in only one figure, we have the measure of the electrical resistance in high temperature and at a low temperature. How it is possible? Well, in this case, we hit the sample with a current pulse of about 6 seconds. Once the sample reaches the steady state in temperature, we measure the properties at high temperature, and then we allow the sample to go down to room temperature, and then we measure the room temperature properties. Going on and so on, we make in the same way, we make the coercive field. Here, the magnetization. For example, here is the Curie temperature. And here we see the elongation of the sample also at high temperature, always in red, and in blue temperature at room temperature. In addition, here we have the initial permeability at high frequency, 10 kilohertz, and the maximum permeability at 50 hertz. Here we have the variation of the magnetostriction with the annealing temperature, and here the temperature of the sample. All data used to generate each point of this graph is recorded in such a way that one can go to a specific point, for example, here, 0.8 amperes meters, and see how the heating was. Here is a recording of the hysteresis loop in the way up to the heating. The red one is high temperature and the white blank at room temperature. And here we have some measurement of the magnetostriction as function of the applied field, also obtained during the same experiment. To give you a better idea of our result, I found here a figure of Makino et al. Where they show various properties measured in nanomet type alloy. Here there's the magnetic properties, the density of the sample, and the resistivity. Here there are at least 16 points, experimental points, so it's implied that they use at least 16 samples to produce this result. They use, for example, one instrument to take this result, another instrument for measure the density, and another to the resistivity. Here we present our result obtained in a similar in a similar composition, not the same composition, but similar type of composition, nanomet. And the results are very comparable to that of the made by Makino with the traditional method. In our case, here we have 80 points, 80 experimental points. We have the measure at high temperature. Here is the critical temperature. I use only one sample for this experiment, only one device and only one operator, that is me. Well, as it seemed strange to me to make a paper from a single experiment like this, I looked for other experiments that I could do with this homemade device. Well, from the derivative, the derivative of the electrical resistance with time or temperature, we can obtain graph similar to that of the DCC test and get the activation energy in a wide range of heating rate. In this case, up to near 100,000 Kelvin per minute. Doing isothermal treatment.
Yeah, you have 1 minute.
Okay, doing isothermal treatment, we can obtain the crystallized fraction. Here we can control the sample temperature up to a heating rate of 1,000 K per minute. That is, we control the heating power in a way that the temperature of the sample runs continually at this rate. For higher rate, the control becomes more difficult. Finally, very quickly, don't work. Okay. Finally, some analytical properties that I can show. We can study the viscosity of the material above the glass temperature, yield strength and tensile strength, TT curves, and creep curves. Well, it's a lot of things that I have to do, but I think it's enough for now. Thank you so much for your attention. So for
Thank you, Javier. Thank you for the nice talk. We have time for short question.
Hello.
Hi, Manuel.
No.
Please.
Javier, it is very nice to meet you again, at least virtually. And yes. I recognize all of the attendant people to visit you in Salta. This is a really very nice place. Allow me just one comment about your work. But I see you are strongly involved in this type of measurements. Can you, as far as I remember, you saw that you can measure the magnetostriction. It is correct? And
yes.
So, would you please very shortly summarize how do you determine the magnetostriction constant?
Yes, it's the magnetostriction constant that interests to the engineers, not to the physicists. Well, as here in this instrument, I can control the stress. I put, for example, 1 megapascal stress, and with this differential transformer that takes the change in length, and this system that makes the magnetic field, it's enough to make the magnetostriction. Only one direction, no?
Okay, thank you.
So thank you, Javier, once more for the nice talk. And we move on for the next speaker. So now I would like to invite also a person that I haven't seen for so much time. Thank you to see you again, Pilar. So Pilar Marin, please, from Spain.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you listen me?
Yeah, we
Can you
listen
see
to you.
the screen?
Yes, yeah, now it's in
Okay.
presentation. Please, head on.
Okay. I don't know. Oh, sorry. Can you see the screen properly?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much for the organizers of this interesting meeting to allow me the presentation of this short draft of our institute nowadays. I am so happy to see you again, João Paulo. I see also Manuel, Cristina, Javier Moya, also Marcelo Nobel, I think is in some way here with us. And well, of course, Rafa and all these people involved in this institute some years ago, that, as you know, it was an institute, some of you know, but the other people I'm going to know after now, is an institute that belongs to University Complutense in Madrid, but it's an agreement between the university and also nowadays ADIF, that this is the infrastructures for the trains, I mean. And also we have an agreement with CSIC and the people mainly in the group of Manuel Vázquez and so on. And here, well, here I have this map, that it was a map that sometime we were doing, that with the idea of including in the map all the people involved in magnetism in Spain, that probably I have to actualize it. But as you can see, we are IMA, is in the center of Spain. We are in Madrid. And as the day before was saying Alberto Bollero, we are part of some other people working in magnetism. So we are a strong community in Madrid that is the group of Manuel Vázquez and Rafa Pérez del Real, and also in INDEA Nanociencia. And also there is a group in our university and also in the Polytechnic University. Okay? So the institute, something interesting of the institute is that since the beginning, the idea was to be able to find an agreement between the applied and the basic research, okay? And with this philosophy, we have been working along all these years with some change in the people, of course, and we were focused on basic magnetism and also applied magnetism. In some way, we have done an effort to find some application related with the trains, because ADIF is under us, but also any kind of possible application related with the magnetic materials. And we have some patents, and related with the patents, we have been able to have some license of the patents, and also one spin-off company come up from here. And nowadays we have another company that has been created for the exploitation of one of our patents. So I think this is something interesting to be told here. Okay, so in the institute, I mean, nowadays we are as permanent in the institute. I am now as the director. Also, Antonio Hernando as Professor Emeritus is still with us here in collaborating. Also, Patricia de la Presa, Patricia de la Presa is from Argentina, but she is here in Spain with a permanent, she's nowadays full professor, and she's an expert in nanoparticles. Also is Elena Navarro, that probably some of you know her because she did her PhD here. Also some people from our department. We have now a new doctor that is also has got a position, that is Cesar González, who is able to make some theoretical calculations. And also, well, here is the people of the institute. We used to have PhD. We have PhD students, also master theses. Every year we are doing almost around 3 or 4 master theses, and so on. Okay, and well, these are some numbers of our institute along the years. Probably these numbers would be, these numbers are 4 years ago, but more or less these are interesting numbers. And something important here is that we have been able to make several patents, as I was telling you before. Regarding the equipments, I am focused here in some of the equipments that nowadays we are using. High energy ball milling, and here we have an equipment that we acquired a few years ago, that this one here that said a max high energy ball milling, that is able to makes a mix between the vibratory milling and also planetary milling, and we are able to get very small nanoparticles. And also we have been working something interesting related with the obtention of some graphene by graphene oxide by means of high energy ball milling of graphite to be used for radar absorbing materials in combination with magnetic microwires, and also for some sensors, some resistive sensors. We are nowadays in collaboration with a group in the CSIC also. We have also a laboratory for nanoparticles, for synthesization of nanoparticles, where Patricia de la Presa is the director of this laboratory. And in the last year, we have been also doing some synthesis of nanoparticles by Sol Gel as a new technique we are using in the last years. Also, we have the magnetometry laboratory with the squid and the phoner. Also, we have magnetic hyperthermia, thermogravimetry, and also we have the possibility of doing very good microscopy in the National Center of Microscopy in the university that Professor Calvet, that was also at the beginning of this institute, now is the director of this center. That is a really good center with very, very powerful equipments. And also we have the possibility of doing XRT plots and so on. So, we have collaboration with many centers in the university with so many techniques available for us. And something that has distinguished us, and mainly my work in the last year, has been the behavior of the wires and microwires in the presence of microwaves. And so we can say that we have a kind of microwaves a laboratory to develop some radar absorbing materials, and also some kind of sensors we have developed and we are developing by means of the microwires. And something interesting here is that we are able to do some kind of contactless sensors by means of using some properties of the microwaves in the presence of microwaves. Okay, so here I am showing you some paper related with nanoparticles. So for example, Patricia also, here, this is a paper that has been the core of one thesis that was presented by one of our students last Friday. So I mean, we are still doing thesis, and this is related with some organization of some of the nanoparticles, giving some interesting behavior of that alignment of the nanoparticles, increasing the coercivity of the material at the end, giving very good results for the hyperthermia. Also, here is another work of Jose Alonso in collaboration with Jose Calvet related with this nanoparticle of lanthanum manganese, and very interesting behavior, and also very nice pictures with the high resolution microscope. Also important here is that we are focused not only in the hyperthermia under the point of view of the medicine, but also some possibilities of heating in localized points, for example, for changing the crystallinity of some polymers and so on. And we understand this is interesting. Okay, and also, well, I was telling you the high frequency behavior of amorphous magnetic materials. Okay, so just to finish, to say that we have several patents that nowadays are in use, in exploitation. And I wanted to show here that if you want to contact with us, we have this web page and also this Twitter and Instagram. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pilar.
Finish. Okay,
nice to see so much activity still going on.
Yes, okay. We are still trying to do as much activity as before. It's not so easy, but we are on it. Okay.
So we are open to questions.
Oh. Okay.
The one. It's still amazing how much work you're still doing, and I'm happy to see this nice, how do you say, range of different things, no? That you're doing. Very nice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if not, perhaps we could move to the next talk, since we have one extra talk at the end. So I would like to invite a Brazilian colleague of ours, Julian Gesch, from the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul. Please, Julian. Pilar, if you can, let's see. I will stop here one moment. Okay, so now you can, please, Julian.
Okay.
Share your screen.
I share my screen. Is it okay?
Not yet.
Not yet. Well,
not yet.
Why not? Why not? Let's share again. Okay. This
should
one.
Go at the bottom. Share screen. Yeah, now it's coming.
Now it's okay.
It's still coming. Yeah, now it's okay. Not in presentation mode, but it's okay. Now it's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
It switched off from the presentation mode. So if you can
now,
if you can come, yeah, now it's okay.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, maybe for everybody. Now, thanks for the opportunity to present our magnetism lab. Well, I'm speaking on behalf of the people, the members of the Laboratory of Magnetism. This is, well, some screen picture of our web page. We are a part of the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, which is one of the maybe 4 or 6 best federal universities in Brazil, and its Institute of Physics, which graduate, well, here it's postgraduate, but graduate program is one of the four best programs in Brazil. The lab was founded, well, 45 years ago as intermetallic groups, and since 1986 is under the leadership of Professor João Schmidt. Here we have, well, Map Mundi, Latin America. We are in the southern state of Latin America, in Porto Alegre. This is the capital of the state. Here are some pictures, well, stylized picture of the university. We have, well, we are 5 professors making part of the lab staff, and well, some undergraduate students. We have a postdoc, and unfortunately, in the last 1-2 years, the masters and PhD students are rather scarce. I'm not sure we have to blame the pandemic or not. Well, we have a good number of PhD and master's degrees defended in our lab. And let's go back. I don't know why. Well, anyway, speaking of research lines, there are basically 2. We work well in thin magnetic films and also in magnetic particles. Normally, we are interested in coupling between ferromagnet and antiferromagnet, or ferromagnet at their interface. We have, well, a good number of works on exchange bias and exchange coupling. We are very interested in magnetization reversal processes, and we developed some experimental and model techniques to allow estimation of magnetic interaction effects, which are based most recently on recall curves. I'll show this part at the end. We perform some works on magnetoelectric systems. Well, as I mentioned, we developed some models which are ours. We are not currently using nothing, well, this available from other groups. We work in, well, a rather broad range of topics also, magnetization dynamics, ferromagnetic resonance and transport properties, spin torque transfer. And well, we have some PhD works on electrode deposition, the materials deposited on graphene also. And well, some instrumentation. Collaborations, well, there are a lot of collaboration we have. Maybe which I remember the most recent from good number of works from Brazil, and in our institute also we have a good collaboration with the ion implantation laboratory, which allows you to study how the iron bombard influence on the magnetic properties. Also, well, I don't have time to mention every group here, but the topics are mainly, as you can see, non-phase materials, nanoparticles, thin magnetic films. Also, some of our professors work on in collaboration with other laboratories on semiconductors, porous semiconductors, on hybrid films. And well, that's mainly this. Collaborations from group from abroad. We have, let's say the greater parties with groups from Spain, from José Cumbiev, Josep Nogués, Enrique Menedes, Pep Foncoberta, most recently José Ángel de Toro. We have recent collaboration with a group from Chile, Raúl Quijada, also from France, Regine Perzinski, and well, an ongoing collaboration with a group from Italy, Davide Pedis. Okay, what we have, we are doing well, I think. Well, there are some equipments for sample preparation and characterization. Here, the first photos here are the sputtering, well, it's commercial AGA machine, and also the X-ray Bruker spectrometer. They are from a multi-user lab from our institute, but fortunately, one of the members of our lab is responsible for these two facilities, and he's one of Professor Andrade. He's one of the two persons actually that they use this this facility. So we are quite well served in thin films and characterization by X-ray. We also have a homemade sputtering system, which allows us to make some other systems with different size of target and so on. In our lab, actually, a small room at the belongings of our lab, we have a SPM machine from Bruker, AFM, MFM, and STM. Also, other techniques are available in our institute. Other microscopies, Milsbauer, and so on. We also have, well, an old, almost retired VSM, the fat boy, we call it, but actually we use nowadays this guy. It's a VSM, commercial VSM from Microsense, which is well, we like a lot. We like it a lot, and it's available to be well governed by internet, so you can stay home and well, once the sample is placed, you can measure.
Julian, 1 minute, okay?
Okay, we have other MOC and vector analyzer machines. We have alternating grading field magnetometer, which allows you to, with in situ, you can grow the sample by electrode deposition and measure simultaneously the in-plane and out-of-plane magnetization, as it is the sample here. Insights, maybe a new method of estimation of interactions we developed a couple of years ago. It's a delta MR, which is based on recall curves instead of remanence curves. It's rather fast, much faster than the remanence curves. Does not demand demagnetization, so you can apply it on virtually impossible to demagnetize systems like, well, system with rectangular curves. Also, you can use it as a measure for the reversal asymmetry. If you apply it to a major loop, which is asymmetric, for example, in exchange bias system, you can build this a plot for any fork, actually, and you have a specter of delta MR. You can make a color map of these curves and so on. Well, I'm not getting into details. And the most recently, we published a paper in August, which is, well, I think it's quite striking phenomena in systems that present collapsed hard axis, something like this along the hard direction. There are maxima in the coercivity and MR remanence coercivity and remanentization. And if you measure curves close to the hard axis, for example, near the minima here, you can get, well, the major loop is the blue one. And if you start for saturation, stop here, for example, and it's not just this point, and then you go back, you have a recall curve which is placed well outside the major hysteresis loop. What major loop means in this case, I'm not sure. You can see this well, it doesn't depend on the system, actually. We saw this in iron, nickel, and cobalt films with different thicknesses from 5 to 150 nanometer thick. The substrate doesn't influence so much. You can, the iron film is deposited on glass, you can do the same. And well, actually, we believe that this is quite common phenomena. This is, for example, a cobalt film of 25 nanometers. You got this collapsed axis. But if you perform the measurement with a great step in angular variation, 50 degrees, you easily can miss this effect. So it's nothing as unusual, actually. It's quite common, we believe. So you can see, and finally, we were able to explain this phenomenon using a simple model of interaction grains, which is qualitatively with quite agreement with the experiment. Well, thanks for the attention.
Thank you, Julian, for the interesting talk and amount of things you're doing. Unfortunately, due to the schedule, I think we have to move to the next talk. So I ask the audience if they want to make any questions to Julian, please post on the chat or address Julian afterwards. Thank you very much. So we move on for the next speaker, which is Alejandro Pereira from Chile. Julian, if you can please unshare your screen. Or I can do it from here. Just 1 second. Okay, so now, Alejandro, please, if you would like to share your screen, yeah? Yeah, we can see it. So you can start, please. Thank you. We don't hear you, so perhaps you're muted. Yeah, you are muted.
Okay.
Okay, now we hear you. Yeah, now we hear you. Thank you. So you can start, please.
Buenas tardes a todos. Vengo en representación de 3 universidades de Chile. Okay. Yo que trabajo en la Universidad Adolfo Ibáñez, a los pies de la cordillera, Juan Luis Palma de la Universidad Central y Juan Scrick de la USACH. Estos 3 grupos anteriormente trabajaban en conjunto en el mismo plantel, pero ya con el paso del tiempo tomamos nuestros rumbos, pero seguimos en una fuerte colaboración hasta el día de hoy. Nuestra colaboración en conjunto también permite tener colaboradores en varios sitios. Bueno, seguimos contacto con Juliano Denardín, ¿verdad? Sebastián Michel de la Universidad Autónoma, muchos integrantes de la Universidad de Santiago, Simón, Dora Albir, un postdoc que está en la Universidad de San Diego, Nicolás Vargas, José Miguel, ¿verdad? Cristina Abraham, Manuel Vázquez, etcétera. Muchos de ellos seguimos con una colaboración bastante fructífera. Noelia Bajales, que hace un tiempo atrás ya tenemos bastante trabajo juntos, y bueno, la parte más joven, ¿verdad?, del grupo, que es Daniela, Paulina, Felipe, que han aumentado bastante la producción de este grupo. Principalmente hay varias cosas que van a quedar de lado, pero principalmente vamos a abarcar lo que fuertemente nosotros tocamos de forma directa, la anoización, ¿verdad? Anoización, hard anoization and mild anoization, el crecimiento de nanohilos a través de esta lúmina. Utilizamos también la técnica de electrospinning, que ya voy a ahondar un poco en ella. Estamos ya inmersos en el área de manipular un poco, de modular las alúminas para lograr nanotubos y nanohilos modulados. Estos nanotubos son obtenidos de dos formas distintas, pueden ser por electrodeposición y por el ALD. Las simulaciones micromagnéticas cada vez han avanzado más, cada vez han tenido mejores resultados. Junto con José Miguel también tenemos lo que son los antidots magnéticos, gracias a las técnicas de perforación que tiene él y las deposiciones que hacemos acá en Chile. Deposición de películas delgadas con defectos controlados, ¿ok? Tenemos la capacidad, que ya voy a mencionar, de llegar a la fase magnética de los materiales, reduciendo químicamente las muestras. Utilizar las alúminas para hacer moldes de nanodomos, y lo último ya es la litografía en varios ámbitos, litografía electrónica y fotolitografía. Con respecto a nuestra principal arma, por así decir, el Atomic Layer Deposition, ¿okay? Tenemos una gran versatilidad de materiales para depositar. Muchos, por supuesto, la gran mayoría conoce bien la técnica, la gracia que tiene que podemos controlar muy bien el espesor de la deposición, y además utilizar geometrías complejas para ser rellenadas. Es por eso que usamos esta técnica para poder sintetizar en alúminas y en otros substratos crecimiento de nanotubos y nanotubos corchel y esas cosas. ¿Sí? Esta capacidad de poner capa atómica tras capa atómica permite un control bastante preciso y muy fino de la capa a depositar, del material a depositar. La cantidad de materiales con las que contamos en este momento son bastante variados. Tenemos los tres componentes principales que nos permiten realizar fases magnéticas de esta estructura, ¿okay? Mediante una reducción química, y también tenemos otros materiales como el hafnium, alúmina, óxido de titanio, óxido de zinc y circonio, óxido de circonio. Otra de las gracias que tiene esta técnica que utilizamos es que compramos el substrato, ¿verdad?, con la posibilidad de rellenar nosotros mismos las botellas, algo que no es tan fácil, y lo bueno que tiene es que abarata bastante los costos. Esto debido a que tenemos una cámara de guante, una cámara seca, ¿okay? Que está con una atmósfera controlada, con muy bajo nivel de oxígeno y de humedad. Por lo tanto, nos permite ir ajustando y poniendo material cada vez que sea necesario. Además contamos con este elipsómetro, el cual nos da un control bastante acertado del espesor que depositamos, así que por supuesto la calibración para cada una de las muestras que nosotros depositamos. Lo que les mencionaba recién, la capacidad de realizar estructuras magnéticas mediante la LED, utilizando una reducción química mediante esta mufla, este horno, con una atmósfera controlada de un porcentaje bajo de hidrógeno con argón. Esta combinación, ¿verdad?, permite, aumentando la temperatura, permite reducir esto, quitar lo que sea necesario de oxígeno de oxígeno, bien digo, para llegar a la fase magnética. Acá podemos ver entonces una lúmina que antes de depositar, luego se deposita óxido de níquel, y después del proceso de reducción obtenemos la fase magnética de tubos de níquel. Ahí tenemos imágenes de ello, y acá podemos ver que el tubo, si bien tiene una pared bastante homogénea, tiene un crecimiento de pequeñas partículas del material, las cuales su distribución de tamaño es bastante pequeña, alrededor de 5 o 6 nanómetros. Hace un rato les mencionaba lo que podemos hacer con electrospinning. Esta técnica consiste en poder realizar fibras muy pequeñas, del orden de los nanómetros, hechas de polímeros. La versatilidad de esto es que podemos usar distintos polímeros, que muchos de ellos soportan altas temperaturas, permitiéndonos introducirlos en el ALD, y así formar entonces sistemas con una capa muy delgada. Básicamente lo que hacemos es utilizar esta fibra como molde, recubrirla por encima y luego hacer los procesos de reducción, obteniendo estos filamentos en fase magnética. ¿Cómo funciona esto? Un polímero de estado líquido pasa a través de una bomba jeringa. Una vez que el líquido se asoma en la punta de esta aguja, es atraído por electroestática.
Alejandro, 1 minute.
Ok, por este colector, y obtenemos fibras muy delgadas. También podemos realizar esferas controlando la síntesis que utilizamos. Esto nos ha permitido entonces realizar esferas de tamaños relativamente grandes, pero con un espesor de capa muy delgado, y tubos recubiertos de forma de corchel. ¿Okay? Después de la reducción química obtenemos la fase magnética. La litografía, acabamos de adquirir un equipo de litografía óptica o fotolitografía con escritura directa con láser. Tenemos un módulo especie de sala limpia que aísla bastante bien la máquina, ¿sí? Y podemos entonces exponer a una fotoresina positiva o negativa dependiendo de lo que necesitemos. Una de las cosas más importantes es el NanoMock 3, donde podemos obtener las mediciones magnéticas o caracterización magnética de películas delgadas, y acá tenemos algunos ejemplos de lo que podemos lograr. Acá se ve in situ, ¿verdad? Cómo varía o cómo revierte la magnetización de una superficie, ¿verdad? Magnética. Ahí se puede ver el contraste, y lo realizamos también en dots, que podemos ver acá cómo va a medida que avanza, ¿verdad?, la curva de histéresis. Vemos la reversión magnética en cada uno de estos dots. Ahí se ve positivo, que sea apuntando para un lado y para el otro. Finalmente también hicimos con litografía electrónica este tipo de estructuras, las cuales son bastante más complejas, y lo acompañamos de estudios por micromagnetismo. El último equipo que voy a mostrar es el SAX, WAX y SAX, que nos permite obtener información de películas muy delgadas, tamaños de muestra muy pequeños y a muy bajo ángulo. Y lo último que les quiero contar y felicitar a Juan Luis, que es parte de nuestro grupo, que ayer salió la noticia que se publicó un microscopio, ¿verdad?, un AFM, el cual hay que ahora estudiar bien cuál es el que se va a adquirir, pero un microscopio que permite una gran variedad de mediciones al respecto de todas las muestras que les mencioné. Muchas gracias por la atención y quedan todos invitados, por supuesto, a Santiago de Chile. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Alejandro. Thank you very much, Alejandro. Due to the advanced time, I think I have to move on to the next speaker because we have another one. So I would like to ask if anyone would address you with some questions to put in the chat or to address you by email afterwards, okay? Thank you very much again. So now I would like to invite the last talk of the day, which should be given by a colleague of ours in Brazil, Professor Vitória Bartem from the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, from the Physics Institute. So please, Vitória, if you can share your screen. Yeah, it's okay. If you put in the presentation, it's not in the presentation mode yet, but we can see it.
Okay, it's good?
Yeah, it's good. Please, you can start.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, the talk, because I lost my date. And so I'm Vitória Bartem. I work in the University Federal do Rio de Janeiro. This is the building, and this next, in the future, next year, you go to change the building, I hope. So the people involved in the research that you do is there is the Institute de Física and also the others in the Brazil and in France. The two main acts of research that recently I was working is in hard magnet, and in the aspect of improve the magnetic property, and in spintronica in antiferromagnets. The party the permanent magnets, what I can say that we are trying to protect the properties, because normally when you use this, it can be damaged by oxidations, and so it's lost your properties. And so the idea is to involve to prevent the oxidation, of course, but you want more, you want to protect from oxidation and also increase the coercivity. Because you think about to involve with the layer that is we coping strongly with the magnetic layer, like gadolinium iron 2 that is ferromagnetic, so there is a very strong coupling, and when the layer in the interface with the neodymium iron boron in the case, you are coupling strongly with the magnetic layer, permanent magnetic layer. So if there appears in the neighbors field that is inverse and try to invert the magnetizations of the permanent magnets, as they are coupling strongly with this layer, and there is a cost, a strong cost to change the directions, because the domains wall you created, so there is energy that must be created to make this change. So the idea that is this field will be stronger, increase the coercivity, because normally without the protections, the certain field can change here. But now there is a coupling that you go to the coercivity for greater values. So this is the idea. Well, you test this. You test this because with the MOOC experiment, where you deposit different layers of gadolinium iron 2, and you see what happens with the coercivity, And at the end, you see that the 7 nanometers amorphous layer was good. There is an increase in the coercivity. So we're very happy, but when you go to the measurement by skid, and in fact, when you you make this measurement, you must cup the sample. So there is areas that are not protected. So of course, this is, you think that now the correct way is make the optical lithography that the layer will be around the sample. So you are in this phase. This part is in progress. At the same time, in these hard magnets, you are trying to change using the samarium cobalt alloys, we are trying to optimize the magnetic properties. In fact, you are focusing coercivity. And so you are changing the stoichiometry of codeposition with temperature, the temperature of the codeposition, or the buffer layer, deposition pressures, or power depositions. Ça veut dire the rate of depositions. And at the end, you have a good answer. When you focus in the buffer layers, and this is the last results that you are having, and you are in 5 Tesla, the coercivity, and going more. And in fact, you are seeing that the cause of this change is the diffusion of the buffer layer tantalum in the layer of magnetic layer that causes some pinning in the layer, magnetic layer, that will prevent the inversion of the magnetization. So we are working this, and you pretend to make publications of these last results. And so briefly, I can talk more about this. And so the other aspect to our research is in spintronics. And in fact, your focus is in inversion of magnetization by currents, because normally when you are a device, you change R or zero by a field. And recently, you see that there is some effect as spin Hall effect and Hashby effect that can generate some polarization field that will turn the magnetizations when the current is passed in the surface. In fact, this is in the surface of metallic non-magnetic materials like tantalum or platina. When the currents pass by this layer, there are polarization is generated that cause a field polarization that will turn the magnetization. This is shown by Lugiao in a ferromagnetic layer. And so you are thinking in using this in antiferromagnetic materials, because the attractivity of antiferromagnetic is because there is no straight field. So it's very interesting to make this in the device. But at the same time, there is no magnetizations to turn, because there are no neat magnetizations. But there are special antiferromagneticals like manganese to gold that has a break of symmetry, a magnetic symmetry, that has generated an electrical field that when the currents pass in this material, there is a polarization that is created. This is called a Hashby effect, or spin Hall effect. Both are related with the appearance of a polarization that will change, shift the magnetizations. And in fact, we are using now in our research synthetic antiferromagnetic that is.
Daria, 1 minute, okay?
1 minute.
1 minute.
If I use ferro chromo iron, I can have antiferromagnetic, and you are using this, and you make a lithography, and you are using a setup of magneto-optical measurement, And you can see, of course, for example, this is the protocol of measurement. If you have no currents, the difference of the two signals is 0. And if you pass a current, there is a difference in the components in the transversal directions of magneto-optical transversal measurement. And so the equipment that I use is the sputtering to the films, and the magnetization is measured with the VCM squid, the MOC, and the structural characterization is the diffractometer that he came. And I use the multi-laser institutions in METRO and CBPF to make the microscopy and the lithography. And this is the recent highlights. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Victoria, for the talk. We have still time for one short question, if someone would like to make, or any comments. No? So, if not, I would like to ask if Victoria can unshare the screen so we can, and if everybody wants to open the cameras and the microphones. Jose Miguel, I don't know if you're still here. I think Juan, you can open your microphone. In the name of the organizers, I would like, first of all, to thank Jose Miguel for being the idealizer of this nice meeting. It was intense, 3 days, but I think it was very, very fun. We had an update, and we had the opportunity to see so many good friends that we haven't seen at least for 2 years. No? And also Juan, who helped, and Victor Prida, who helped with the organization with Zoom and so on. I would like to thank the Brazilian friends that were able to participate. And so, Jose Miguel, if you want to address something, and Juan and Victor.
Yes, I would like to say that if in case the new collaborations appear as a result of this meeting, please tell us, because this would be important for us in order to prove the importance of this event to the IEEE magnetics. And in particular, if we find that this event has been successful, and perhaps for the next edition we can ask for additional funding, trying to celebrate this meeting in person, on site, not online. But so that's why, if you think it was useful and if new collaborations are established after this event, please tell us. And thank you for your participation, and hopefully the IEEE magnetics will grow if new groups can join us. All these invited groups in Brazil, but also in other countries such as Mexico, Colombia, or Argentina, if they are able to create a chapter in their respective countries, that would be good. And that's all I want to say. Thank you very much.
Juan, Victor, you would like to say something, some word?
No, just thanks to the participants. And that's Victor, please.
No, thank you to all the participants for their good presentations.
Yeah, very good.
I just would like to mention that if you missed some of the talks, or you would like to revisit them, I think the YouTube access will still be available for a certain period. So you can revisit and rewatch the presentations to take notes, the contacts and so on. Also, if you need any contacts, I think you can contact Jose Miguel, myself, or Juan, or Victor, because we have a list of all the emails. So if you are interested in any particular research or particular group, you can, and you miss the contact, so you can contact us. And I think that's it.
Thank you very much. And I think we can close the session. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you in
Thank you.
perhaps presentially in the next future.
Yeah, of course.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, chao.
Hasta luego, Manolo.
Adiós.
Hasta luego,
adiós a todos.
Manuel. Estés muy bien, Manuel. Chao.
Chao, chao.